Welcome back to the CNR podcast 81. I'm Griffin Aldrich. Alongside me, we got my two co-hosts, David Caires and Carl McDonald. Welcome back. I tell you guys what, we just had the Christmas special. Now we're shifting over to the New Year's special. I think we're in a special time where it's like you're hit with two holidays right in a row. You got the Christmas, you got the New Year's special, and the next podcast won't be till next year, 2026. It feels weird me saying that, but welcome back. How are you guys feeling? The Boston Celtics on a 4-game win streak. We came in here, and I personally, I don't know who. David, did you say 3-0? But I remember last podcast I said they were going to lose to Toronto, but I'm feeling good. Was that you that said they were going to go undefeated?
I think I also had one loss as well. So
Okay,
I was being a little bit pessimistic. Apologies to all the fans out there.
Yeah, I think it was Maurice. It might have been. It might have been Maurice. I don't know. I don't remember. We'll have to go back and look. But we'll go through really quick. Carl and David, tell me, what have you guys thought about the Celtics on this 4-game win streak? Because they've been playing some good basketball. And what are your thoughts, Carl, to start us off?
Oh, yeah, looking at these previous games here, I'd say the Celtics are just doing exactly, what is almost expected of them now because they're on some type of, roll and trajectory where, they again are the third seed in the Eastern Conference, and they're going up to and beating teams such as the Knicks and Detroit, even though those are now the best teams to come out of this conference. So to see this team, really winning and figuring out ways to pick up those wins is definitely something that, again, we didn't really expect too much of, but to see this streak potentially going on as well is just great, and it gets me even more excited to see Celtics basketball.
Yeah, what about you, David?
Yeah, I think the most impressive thing for me is just the offensive outpouring that continues. We talked about where, as expected, the defense was going to take a bit of a step back this season, and obviously it hasn't been as strong. That's what happens when you lose five talented players, either in free agency, trade, or due to injury. But the offense has just really been impressive. We hung, yes, I know it's the Pacers, but we put up 140 points on Indy last night, 112 points against Toronto last Saturday, missing our best player, then 129 points last Friday against the Heat. So, there's different ways to win. This feels a little bit more like year one of the Joe Mazzulla era, where we're just, firing on all cylinders offensively and winning games offensively, and, being a little bit more mediocre defensively. And, there's going to be ebbs and flows throughout the whole season in terms of the offense. Like, we're, bound at some point to go on a cold streak. Happened last season. It's going to happen. It already happened this season. It's going to probably happen again. But just to stay positive and be in the moment with the 4-game winning streak, I've just really loved our offensive play. And, we're making all the right decisions. And it doesn't hurt that we've been shooting the ball very effectively in these 4 games. So just really happy to see all of
that. As my phone goes crashing down. Yeah, I agree 100%. You guys nailed it right there. The Boston Celtics have been playing out of their mind. It's the Pacers playing the Pacers twice. Those are kind of more chilled, relaxed games, but the Celtics didn't play it in a matter of that because, that first game, you're down 20 at halftime, had to climb back from there. But one little funny thing I wanted to pull from it, and if you guys watch the recap last night, you guys already know what I'm about to show. But if you guys did not watch the game or the recap, Bill Kennedy is trending once again, and I always see his funny his funny little things, but he had one against the Celtics last night. And let's talk about it after, and I want you guys to give me your comments, but it's just the expression he uses too. So let's roll it.
After reviewing the play, the defensive player is still moving and makes contact prior to any movement by the offensive player's leg, resulting in the defensive foul being upheld, and the coach's challenge is unsuccessful.
I got such a chuckle from that. Carl, do you have any comments on that? That was just too funny.
That's usually how he is, and that's just the best part about it. He's like this, and we're still getting entertained by it.
And I can't get mad at him. That's the
Right.
I'm like, if he makes a bad call, it's like, there's yet to be a bad like moment. What do you have to say about that though, David?
No, I mean 100% what you guys were just saying. Where I'd rather the refs be aura farming like that, as the kids say, versus coming up in the headlines for blowing a call or something like that. So, I mean, there's plenty of those moments with Bill Kennedy. Another funny moment is I think it was either last year, maybe the year before, when Jokic was doing the tip off, and he was like, for lack of a better term, he was like twerking during the tip off that Bill Kennedy was doing, and like Bill Kennedy like had to like delay the game because he just could not stop laughing at Jokic doing that. So
That was
I
Bill
don't know.
Kennedy.
What is it?
That was Bill Kennedy that was laughing.
Yeah, when he was tipping the ball off between I think it was between Jokic and Gobert. So Nuggets, Timberwolves, and Jokic was doing those shenanigans, and yeah, Bill Kennedy had to like delay the start of the game, because he just could not stop laughing. So just love moments like that. I love some good theater in these NBA games.
Jeez, I didn't even know that was Bill Kennedy. But David, you have a little bit on Brad Stevens and Jason Tatum if you wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, so yesterday, Brad Stevens was in Indiana, probably visiting family, first and foremost. That's where he's from. But there was a clip that came out. I believe Noah Dalzell was the person who I first saw tweet that out, of Brad Stevens helping Tatum in one of his workouts. He was working out before the game yesterday in Indiana, and it was just a quick little clip of Brad Stevens basically just giving Tatum like a give and go pass, and then Tatum, running to the hole and slamming the ball down. But I don't know. I think I'm interested to hear what you guys say about this, but I think there's a little bit more to be said about the fact that Brad Stevens is now participating in workouts with Tatum. I mean, that was one little snippet there, but it has to mean something that the GM / president of basketball operations is coming to see how Tatum is looking during a workout. I wouldn't say a Tatum return is imminent, in the coming month, but I think we're getting closer and closer to that point. And Brad Stevens is making it a point to see Tatum up close and personal and see if he's ready to, turn that switch and be ready soon. But I don't think we should be completely overlooking that clip personally, is my point. I think there's something to be said about Brad Stevens being right there with Tatum and watching him during his workout. So, I'm not saying the Celtics are getting ready to declare a day that Tatum's ready to come back, but I don't know. When you see clips like that, there's definitely a hidden meaning behind that. I think we're getting a lot closer to this Tatum return date.
Well, I want to say this before Carl goes and gives his thoughts, but I have to say, as long as Brad Stevens the GM, I don't see Tatum going anywhere. If he's having that personal connection, passing the ball to him, I mean, I think it's safe to say that he has a spot in this team till he retires. Hopefully we do it the Red Auerbach way, and once they're a Celtic, is always a Celtic till that day, because like you gotta thank Danny Ainge for doing what he did, because was it Danny Ainge who got? Yeah, it was, with Tatum and Brown. Like, you gotta thank him and the Celtics organization. Obviously, they did the risky move to trade Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett, but that gave you Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. And you hate to see them leave anywhere. Like, I feel like Curry is gonna retire a Warrior. I hope to see Tatum retire a Celtic. Like, those are the dreams that I hope will come. And I want to add something after too, because I saw something on the White Noise podcast about Jaylen Brown saying he only has like 5 years left in the league. That's ridiculous. Like, he'd be like 30 something. I don't know, 35. Like, that's way too young. So hopefully he changes that. But we'll talk about that after. But Carl, what are your thoughts on what David mentioned?
Yeah, pretty much like what you guys said. This is something that clearly has more meaning behind it than what we are actually seeing. And it just further goes to show that this Celtics team is, mainly Brad Stevens here, very invested into Tatum. This is something that we're not only seeing, when Tatum initially got that injury. Hey, we are not rushing to bring him back. We're not, looking to have him play immediately as soon as he's good. We want to make sure he's great about it. He's great about it physically, mentally, spiritually, what have you. And that's what I really love about, their relationship. What we have with the Celtics is that, you know, even though the NBA is a business, you can rely on, Jason Tatum and other players essentially being protected from, being forced in too early or, being given away. Of course, that's just coming from, learning from past experiences like what happened with Isaiah Thomas. Even recent instances such as CP3 getting cut by the Clippers, the Lakers not wanting to re-sign LeBron, and then of course that infamous trade with Luka with Dallas. And so, when you're really looking at this too, they go really, really far back, pretty much the beginning when Tatum was starting out as a rookie and his son was being born, and he had to address that. And instead of, making him small about essentially making him small about the situation and, kind of baiting him into doing something he didn't want to, they're like, okay, no problem. You take care of that, and we'll be in your corner whilst you are taking care of that. And that's, gone so far to the point where Deuce is now growing up with the team as well. So it's great to see, the relationship between these two men, and just in general a player with an organization that is behind him, because they not only see the potential but also he's seeing the potential within himself. It is great to see something, what could be small to a lot of people, in a president or a GM, helping out their player to get better, is something deeper than that, something more than that. It's great to see, and it's something that's going to make him even better, not just as a player, but as a person. And it just goes to show that the morale of the Celtics organization as a whole is just great, and furthers what, Red Auerbach says, once a Celtic, always a Celtic. So, I love seeing stuff like that, even if it may not seem like, what we're thinking of right now.
I love that. That was well said. What are your thoughts though, David? On your own say, what do you think this means? What do you think? Because you said we gotta dig deeper. What do you think? Do you think this is a return soon, or what are your thoughts?
I mean, I think I've said this on the program. Like, I have a couple dates in mind. I blanking on the first one, but there's like a day, I believe, in March. It's literally a Monday against Charlotte, I think, at home, which goes with the meme of like Tatum saying, I don't care. I want to play as much as possible. I don't care if no one's watching me play against Charlotte on League Pass on a Monday. That's one of the days. And I think that's a day in March that we play the Hornets. The second one, Super Bowl Sunday, I believe it's February 8th against the New York Knicks, the team that he tore his Achilles against. Big stage, the encore to the big game later that night, obviously in the NFL. I could see that happening. I mean, it's really just fun to speculate about all these things. I'm going to continue to stand by my take that he is returning this year. We keep hearing these reports saying that he's telling like Chris Haynes, the reporter, that he's coming back. He's telling people around the organization he's coming back. I'm standing by that completely. Like, I think we will see Tatum play in the regular season, but it could be anywhere from February to April. He appears in a game, and I just want to emphasize to Celtics fans as well, we can't expect him to be, right off the bat playing 30 minutes and dropping 20, 25 points. Like, this is a slow grind, to quote Celtics legend Isaiah Thomas. Like, when he comes back, maybe he'll even come off the bench. I mean, I'm just floating things out here. Like 10 to 15 minutes at first, maybe 5 to 10 points. I could be completely wrong, and Jason Tatum can prove once again to me that he's just superhuman, or just, the opposite of what we expect from a human in terms of his return. It would not shock me at all if he just lights up the world right out of the gate. But realistically, this is going to be a long road ahead. I do think that he's going to come back. There's even just speculation about from doctors on Twitter, which again, take that with a grain of salt, what I just said, doctors and Twitter, because, you can't always trust what you see on the internet. But this doctor on Twitter is saying that the surgery that Tatum had is a 6-month recovery period, and that Tatum's been recovered for over a month now, and he's just playing it safe, and he can come back whenever he wants to. Now, again, I'm not trying to spread any misinformation. I don't want any doctors here in the chat to start coming for me and saying that I have no idea what I'm talking about, and I'm a threat to their practices, but their medical practices. But look, I don't know. It's a fun game to play right now, just thinking about when Tatum can come back. But realistically, maybe more on the aggressive, hopeful side is February. But I think more so maybe sometime in March or April, maybe with 15, 20 games left in the season.
Yeah, and I was the person that was very strong, and you guys remember this if you've been watching the podcast. I've been very strong on Tatum skipping this year. And, I won't lie, a bone in me was like, if we're bad, you get a big piece and add it on this offseason. But we're not that. We're a good team. We're not a great team. We're not top of championship. Watch out, we're going to win the championship. But you add Tatum in the mix in about February, like you mentioned, David, and you build him up to in the playoffs. I wouldn't even give him full time until playoffs. We could be a contender. I'm going to put an asterisk above it.
I mean, we're already playing incredibly well without Tatum, exceeding expectations by a little bit. And one thing we're missing is just another scoring threat. I mean, you have White and Pritchard getting 30 points per game combined. Jaylen Brown doing that all on his own, averaging 30 points a game. Then you can get probably 5 points a night from Cada. So that's 65. And then who else am I missing from the starting lineup? Jordan Walsh, I guess.
Yeah.
Jordan Walsh and Minot can get you total of 10 a night. So that's 70-ish or something like that. And then Simons is averaging 13 off the bench. But, I mean, obviously he's been very streaky this season. But Hauser can get you 8 points. So that's, right around 85 points on average you should get, even on your worst night. We need some scoring. You add Tatum in the mix, that's at least another 10 points. So that gets you closer. I think Tatum returning absolutely throws a wrinkle into the Eastern Conference. And I mean, I want to push back a little bit on what you were saying, Griffin. I think I agree with you in the sense that I don't think we're winning the championship this year, but I won't 100% pin that flag in my front yard because the Eastern Conference is so wide open that anything can happen. I mean, I don't think we can beat the Thunder or the Spurs or even the Nuggets, but if you make it to the NBA Finals, I mean, anything can happen. But I do agree. But Tatum returning, even without Tatum returning, anything can happen. The East is just such a cluster this year.
Yeah, and Carl, you could add on after this, but even I look at it, it's you could even face a Spurs or a Thunder team or a Nuggets team when they're in a slump. I mean, you say you have an easy run, make it to the finals. Who knows what could happen? But what are your thoughts, Carl, adding on to that?
Yeah, I would say right now, definitely not really in a position to win it all. It'd be great. It'd be fantastic. But, we still have to worry about the Knicks. Hell, even Detroit, they're really on the come up, and that's a team that could easily get out of the East, as you described, David. East is so wide open, anything can happen. The Pacers right now are one of the worst teams in the Eastern Conference. They could somehow find their way back to being at least somewhat of the team that they were last year, and maybe even get out again. But with what we have here, Jason Tatum definitely coming back. Yeah, that's definitely something that's going to come with time. Of course, putting him back, into the starting lineup is something that's not obviously going to happen immediately. You just don't want to, pressure him and force him into a position that he's not 100% on yet, but definitely will find his way back into. And yeah, like you guys said as well, give him more minutes when it comes to the playoffs. And, by that time, he should be all set, not just with the Achilles injury, but also with the wrist injuries he's been dealing with for the past, I'd say, 3 years now. So yeah, definitely, you want to look into that. And I would say if we somehow in some way get out of the conference with the team that we have, even with Jason Tatum just coming back, and if we're going up against OKC in the finals, yeah, OKC definitely is going to be a challenge, and wouldn't be surprising if we were to lose to them, considering the team that they have. But yeah, pretty much catching them, in a slump is definitely going to help us out. And same thing could go for the Spurs too. But also with the Spurs, they don't have that much experience. That's really the first time they've been in the playoffs since like what 2017, if I'm not mistaken, like the late 2010s. And yeah, you have Victor Wembanyama, one of the best players in the league right now, but he would need that experience. And the only real experience that they have is Harrison Barnes and Luke Cornett, who have won championships, beforehand. So definitely, I'm still, on the fence of the Celtics, or pretty much, them winning it all. I don't think it's definitely going to happen this year. Maybe next year, maybe the year after. But if they do win it all this year, yeah, we're going to plant that flag in front of our homes and celebrate.
I will tell you, if the Celtics win a championship this year, you guys, we're all meeting up in Maine and we're having a party. Like that's what it is.
Make it happen.
I tell you,
Happen, yeah.
what's that, David?
Oh, we got to make it happen. We'll meet up at the Applebee's in South Portland. Offer bill. Shout out to the Applebee's in South Portland.
Shout out to that's where David and I went after the Sea Dog Celtics night. Go watch that vlog out after.
Just incredible hospitality there. Like they didn't even it wasn't even a big issue. But I ordered. I can't believe we're going down this rabbit hole. This is wild that we're doing. But I ordered chicken parm and I wanted ziti, but they didn't have ziti, so I think I had to settle for fettuccine.
Yeah,
and I would have been totally fine with this. You remember that, Griffin? But they told me, "Sir, we're so sorry for the inconvenience. Because of this, we're also going to take 25% off your bill." So
hey.
Applebee's.
They'll take off 19% from banner 19.
Hey, I love that one. All right, well, I want to kind of move it a little bit because we're kind of getting towards All-Star break. We're creeping up on it. Like not there yet, but we're creeping up on voting and everything. So I want to ask you guys, what Celtics players should you look to put in your All-Star ballot? Obviously, I'm the type of person I vote all of them because that's what I always do. But what Celtics players, you could even give the top 3, but what Celtics players truly deserve an All-Star appearance this year? And let's knock Jaylen Brown out of it because we obviously know he definitely deserves an All-Star appearance from what he's been doing. But Carl, do you have any 1 or 2 guys that you think really deserve it? And the names that you put up, Derek White and Peyton Pritchard, but out of those 2, who deserves it the most? Or let's just hear what your thoughts are. Let me explain.
No, it was great. It was great. Yeah, for me, it would easily have to be Derek White. This is a guy who essentially was forced into being the second option in the year prior, forced into being the third option because, having to deal with Kristaps' injuries. So, and not a knock to him, of course, but, just really showing that Derek White has stepped up when he needs to. Yes, he started off this season in a slump, but that's something that over time he was able to get himself out of. And that was courtesy of not only the team around him, but also Jason Tatum, rooting for him. So, yeah, Derek White is definitely somebody on the Celtics outside of Jaylen Brown who is incredibly deserving of being an all-star. It was a prediction of mine going into this season that he would become an all-star at least one time in his career. That's somebody who really deserves it, He's increased his productivity on the offensive end. We already know that he is fantastic defensively, and on certain nights, he can lead this Boston Celtics teams to wins. Case in point, that recent win that we got in Toronto. So I would hope that this year, Derek White is able to play alongside Jaylen Brown in the All-Star game, and yeah, hopefully even more for the future to come. So yeah.
Yeah. What about you, David?
Yeah, I was going to say what Carl you just said with Derek White being an all-star. It's an interesting one where maybe a few weeks ago I wouldn't have really pushed for this, but I think he's really turned it around the last few weeks. I mean, he's really. I had the stats pulled up here for Derek White, but he's been really strong the last few weeks. I'm just getting back. Yeah, like 20. He's up to 18 points a game on the season. Field goal percentage and 3-point percentage compared to a year ago are down, but that's to be expected. I mean, White is getting way more shots. He's getting the most shot opportunities in his career as a member of the Celtics, obviously due to number 0 being sidelined for the foreseeable future. So, when you shoot more, you're bound to miss a little bit more. So that's not necessarily as big of a detractor for me as I initially thought, I guess. Other than that, I mean, if we were to base all stars based off hustle, like a guy like Luca Garza would obviously get a nod from me. Just with the way he's been playing last night or the way he's been playing recently. I mean, me and Andrew talked about it at length in the game last night, but the post game show last night. But we really just love the way that he's just been mucking things up in the paint lately. Not necessarily lighting up the stat sheet, but grabbing rebounds down low, causing disruptions down low, playing decent defense down low. Guy like Jordan Walsh as well is taking a leap forward, but in terms of an NBA All-Star, these are my Celtics All-Stars, but in terms of an NBA All-Star, I mean, besides Derek White, probably give it to Peyton Pritchard. The three-point shooting has definitely taken a dip this year. He was at 40% last year. He's at 33% this year, but points per game is up. I like what I've seen from him, especially lately. Obviously, we all knew this was going to be a big adjustment season for Pritchard, earning that starting role after, spending his first 4 or 5 seasons on the bench and out of the rotation. But yeah, just for the sake of variety, if I had to choose someone else other than Derek White, absolutely Peyton Pritchard. I can't say enough good things about him. He rebounds amazingly well for his size, doesn't back down on defense, and I love his confidence from deep, but even more, I just love how more confident he's gotten either driving to the net or, settling for mid-range jumpers. So Peyton Pritchard would be another name where I'd love to see him get some all-star votes.
Yeah, I agree. I think along with David and Carl said, I would go Derek White. I think, what he's been doing for the Celtics in the last few years, it's finally his year to deserve one. I feel like, obviously there was that slump at first. So I don't know, you're going to look at the slump at first and be like, he hasn't really quite lived up to it. I'm still giving him the vote. And I think, he's turned it around and really proved to be one of those players. And I think, I feel like the one season that, everyone wanted him to be that all-star. I forget what year it was, but everyone was like freaking out. White has to be an
all-star season, I think.
Was it? Yeah. And that was the season where I think you have the best chance of him being all-star. And I look at the productivity of Peyton Pritchard this year, and I know the fans won't vote Peyton Pritchard in because I don't think they see what he does on a night-to-night basis. But I feel like productivity, Pritchard kind of gets the nod for me because he, but he had moments in the season too where he was very inconsistent as well. But he's also had some big games. But I think it's really a toss-up between the two. But I really look at it, and I really think you're going to have 2 Celtics in the All-Star game, whether it be Brown and Pritchard, whether it be Brown and White. I really hope to see them. Do you guys see the likelihood of there being 2 Celtics, or do you guys see all right, the ballot's so stacked this year that it's kind of tough for them to make it in? Carl, we'll start off with you.
Yeah, no, I definitely see 2 Celtics, but I would not be surprised if Derek White was snubbed, just because, yeah, like as you addressed, and as I addressed earlier as well, the slump that he was dealing with, and yeah, I guess they would just go with other, individuals who are obviously going to be pickups, like Cade Cunningham, like Jalen Brunson, for example. So definitely, I say 2. But I wouldn't be surprised if it was just Brown out there, and I would hope that that's not the case because Derek White has been playing better basketball ever since whenever he, turned it around.
Yeah. What about you, David?
I would love to see 2, but I do think the Celtics are going to be capped at 1. It's a obviously well-deserving 1 for Jaylen Brown playing the best basketball of his career, which we're going to talk about later, and we've been talking about all season. I just don't know if Derek White has done enough to earn that second spot. I could see him sneaking in through the back door, but I have a feeling it's just going to be another unfortunate situation for D. White, where he's just on the cusp of becoming an all-star. But I'm just going to go with Jaylen Brown being the 1 Celtics representation in this February game.
Yeah, so for all of Celtics Nation that's watching this, go vote. Do your votes on a day-to-day basis. I won't lie, I've been very inconsistent with it this year. I think I've gotten like 3 votes up. Last year I was doing it like the past few years I've been doing it every day, so I gotta get it up too. So I gotta join you guys with it. I gotta go with my daily votes. But my next question for you guys too is this is a question that's been looming around all year, and we don't have to dive too deep into it, but do you guys think the Celtics shop Simons come trade deadline? Because I know we talked about this and we'll have a deadline special, but could you guys see that? Or do you think he could be a contributor if the Celtics ended up having a playoff run? And would you rather keep Simons and move Hauser or vice versa? Like what route would you guys go? And just 2 little interesting questions. Carl, we'll start off with you.
Honestly, and I've been thinking about this for a while too, because Simons, although not, obviously the same player he was when he was in Portland, not really, consistent, I think could in the long term be somebody who's very special for us coming off of the bench and knocking down threes. But at the same time, shopping him would probably be the best thing for us, just because I really want a center. I really want another center on the team, somebody who could come off for Queta or start for Queta. So that then there's also the possibility of potentially giving up Hauser, which honestly I'm like kind of 70% keep him, 30% let him go. Like it wouldn't be a surprise if they did, and honestly they could easily do that and probably get something, back good. That's good, in return. You do Simons, you do Hauser, maybe you even do Boucher as well and get you a center that, can provide you that production. But at the same time, Hauser has been slowly turning it around as well. If he's not doing that well offensively, then, he's compensating for it by being great on the defensive end, and he's also part of the rebounding crew as well. But also recently, he did have that game against the Pacers where he knocked down 7 out of his 8 threes. So it's like, do we allow for him also to get out of his slump and develop more again into hot hand Hauser, or do you, let him go? Is definitely the biggest question I would have. But for Simons, I would not mind giving him up just for the sake of I want a center and we can make a package to get said center.
These are interesting questions, and it's tough because based on what we've seen from Simons this season, I just think that it was a good try. Like the fact that we got him back for Drew Holiday, I think we can all agree was shocking. I didn't think we would get anything close to value like Simons in a trade for a aging but still very valuable Drew Holiday. So the fact that we were able to get Simons back is solid. And I just, based on what we've seen though from Simons on the court with the Celtics this season, my gut instinct is to say yes, we need to trade him. The experiment hasn't worked out. He's averaging 13 points per game off the bench, but it really feels like it's all or nothing with him out in the court. Like I think he does very well at creating his own shot. When he's hot, he's hot. But it feels like he's, either going to put up 4 points a game or maybe get you 16. Like it does not feel like a consistent 13 points per game he's giving us every night. And it also seems like, he's not, and it's not his fault either. Like he's not getting consistent minutes, especially earlier in the year where it seemed like he had a very short leash and his confidence was shot. He's also adjusting a new role as a 6-man. In a new team. So all these things point towards us trading him and trying to, leverage his value of who he was in Portland, like you said, Carl, to potentially get a center and upgrade a position of need. The thing that I wonder about though, is if we keep Simons and try and re-sign him in the offseason, if we can sign him for a cheaper deal than his $27 million price tag right now. And then you have a certified floor general coming off the bench at a cheaper price for the foreseeable future. You have a trusted guy in Simons off the bench to lead your bench crew for years to come. But then again, is that something he's going to be willing to do long term? Is he just sucking this up because he was traded here, and does he really want out? We don't really know. I mean, Simons is always going to say the right things to the media, but we don't really know how he truly feels about this situation. So, for me, based on everything I've seen from him on the court, I say we should trade him. I mean, the other thing that's just interesting too is just what is his value around the NBA and what could we get for him? Because as I've talked about, and I think we all agree on this as well, we're not just talking about trading Simons for center. We're talking about trading Simons for a true center that can either rebound at a high clip. Not saying Queta can't do any of these things, but again, Queta is he's proved he's a good backup at this point. But we need a center that can either stretch the floor like Porzingis and knock down threes at a respectable clip, or a true old-fashioned center who can grab rebounds with no questions asked. Can Simons get that? I don't know. That's another tricky thing as well. And the Hauser thing is interesting as well, where I say we need to keep him just so we can keep the scoring. We need scoring off the bench. I say we absolutely need to keep him. I mean, if you trade Simons as well, Hauser's that guy that is going to provide you 8 points off the bench. After Hauser, it gets a lot more, questionable in terms of our scoring off the bench. But, is he someone that can get moved to, give us a little bit more financial breathing room? And is a guy like a Hugo Gonzalez viewed as the next Sam Hauser, a 3-and-D guy who hit threes at a decent clip, not as good as Sam Hauser, but a guy that can play defense and hit threes for you every so often? That's something I think that's in the Celtics head long term. And if it's not just Ugo, is it a combination of Ugo and Shireman? I don't know. But I also wonder, this is just, pipe dream thinking here, but what could a package of Hauser and Simons get you, other than clearing $37 million off the books? But in a long-winded answer, I would say trade Simons, but keep Hauser. But those answers could absolutely change as the season continues. I think that those are great questions, but that's where I stand right now.
Yeah, I agree. I think you guys both gave very great answers. I scream Nick Claxton. You guys know that I have always been a big Nick Claxton guy, and go check out the Big Man Talk because we really talk about this too. It was a live, so go check that out. But I really think I agree with you, David and Carl. The Simons experiment has not worked in Boston. I think it's safe to say that he has not been acclimated to coming off the bench. He is not adjusted to that. He is not giving the same productivity that he received being the starter and playing throughout the game. And that's not his play style, I don't think. I don't think you're going to get the same value that you got from Simons that Portland got being the number one guy. I really don't, I could see. That's why I'm like, I could see maybe a Washington Wizards trade workout, or, a Brooklyn Nets, or even maybe I quote me if I'm wrong, but maybe even a Utah Jazz trade where, he's going to a less contending team and he's given those minutes and he's out there as a starter and they thrive for that, because I think that's more so his style. And I might be wrong with that, but I just see that kind of being more so the thing. That's where you're going to get the most out of his game. I feel like, and because he had that 126-point game, and we didn't even give him the CNR MVP because we gave it to Minot because Minot was crazy that night. But other than that, we haven't had a standout game where I'm like, all right, let's give it to Simons. And every night I'm like, I want to have Simons have a prove it game and it just hasn't happened. It hasn't happened. But do you guys have anything else to add on to that? Because nothing's yet to come from Simons. So again, I agree with what you guys said too. Is the trade package from him on an expiring deal? Do you get as much as you want out of him too? Like, I don't know. Carl, do you have anything else?
Just pretty much adding to what you said. Yeah, the experiment not working. Yeah, just yeah, it's like we were just talking about him coming off of the bench doesn't work. He mainly works as, a main guard. And that was definitely one of the issues going into the season for us is do you start him or do you start Peyton Pritchard? Do you start a guy who's already proven himself as a starter and could be very useful for us in that role? Or do you start somebody who had easily the best season of his career, where he's one of now many Celtics to win Sixth Man of the Year and is now deserving of being a starting point guard or shooting guard? So yeah, definitely, and very unfortunate that even though Simons could have done great things for us, even greater things for us, that it's just not working out. And yeah, again, it's not his fault. So
Yeah, David, do you have anything else on that?
No, I mean it's been arguably the second most interesting storyline behind Tatum's return is this whole saga with Simons ever since we traded for him last June. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens at the deadline. Yeah, I don't know. It's just such a unique situation. I really don't know what they'll do, but I'm interested for February 6th. That's for sure when the deadline happens.
I am too. But David, you have some stuff on Jaylen Brown from last night too, if you wanted to mention that for everyone.
Yeah, I mean, Jaylen Brown just continues his epic month along with his epic season here in 2025, 2026, taking the NBA by storm. Jaylen Brown, right before he got substituted out last night, drilled back-to-back three-pointers to hit 30 points for the 8th straight game that he's played in. That's tied for the second longest streak in franchise history, just behind Larry Legend, a.k.a. Larry Bird, who did it 9 times in a row in 1985, scoring 30 or more points in every game. So right now it's Larry Bird who has the record for 9 games in a row, Jaylen Brown in second with 8, and then Paul Pierce with 7. So really great company there, and just love to see Jaylen Brown continuing to tear the league up by storm. And he's just been on a tear this whole month, this whole season. I believe he leads the NBA in points per game this month, around like 32, 33 points per game. You just love to see Jaylen Brown shutting up the haters and dominating your team, and then hopping on Twitch right after that just to talk his talk. So you love to see it, and I'm not worried in the slightest when Tatum comes back how Jaylen Brown and Tatum will play together. I think they're only gonna. This might be the very best version of Tatum and Brown we see whenever Tatum comes back and is at full strength. So I'm just excited. This is like you gotta love Jaylen Brown as a Celtics fan, and shame on you if you were including him in trade rumors in 2022 after we lost the finals for Durant. Shame on you if you're ready to give up on him after his horrid Game 7 performance in 2023 against the Miami Heat, when he came back 1 year later as Finals MVP, Eastern Conference Finals MVP, and then 2 years now after that, taking the league by storm, averaging almost 30 points a game. I mean, as Jaylen Brown said, that one viral clip, if you're on that side, stay on that side. We don't want you hopping on this other side. So just love you, Jaylen Brown. We all love you over here, and we're happy for you.
We do. But I have a fun question to ask you guys, and we'll start off with Carl and go to David. There's some heavy hitters, and we're not even close to MVP voting, but it's a little interesting one, coming behind Jokic and Luka Doncic and Shea and Wemby. Do you really think that Jaylen Brown could have a real chance at winning MVP this year, or do you think no way? What are your thoughts, Carl?
I mean, I would say so. Yeah, it's like you guys said prior, specifically David, where this is a guy who just loves to prove the haters wrong. That's something that's always been a part of his identity, a part of his DNA. And that's something that I've always appreciated and loved about him because, yeah, he could go from a guy who was his absolute lowest to now, being the finals MVP. So, he's got his MVP in that regard. He definitely has the best chance right now to become MVP this season. Of course, those are, those individuals above him. And, with those individuals above him, I would even go as far as to say right now, like Tatum last season, Jaylen Brown is the best American player in the league today. This is a guy who's averaging damn near 30. He had that record, or he has that record that he more than likely could break in the next 2 games. This is a guy who understands the task at hand that, hey, even though you've never been given the keys up until now, we're giving you the keys and we're going to kind of force you into that position. And he's never struggled. Even when we had games we were supposed to win, opening night, I would say, against the Sixers, he's always shown his attentiveness. He's always shown his tenacity. He's always shown that he could be a great leader and pretty much a main guy for the Celtics. And yeah, that's definitely a guy that could easily win MVP, but because of, of course, the competition before him and politics, he's definitely not going to get it, but still has a real chance to get it if, I guess, certain factors came into play.
I love that point that you made, Carl, about him being the best American NBA player this season. I think that is just spot on. And yeah, I don't think he'll end up with MVP this season, but he should absolutely end up with votes in the ballot for sure with what he's doing. Yeah, I just again I can't say enough about how well Jaylen Brown's been playing. Really, I mean, he's turning the tide on NBA Twitter as well. If we want to talk about that a little bit, where it seemed like for years he just got so many haters on there, and it's like now I'm literally seeing the haters say, "I have nothing else to hate on Jaylen Brown about." Like he's actually dominating. Like I can't even come up with anything to trash him about. So just love to see that. We obviously still got a long way to go. We got 52 more games, so anything can happen with that. But do I expect Jaylen Brown to win MVP? Like Carl said, no, but I'd love to see him get some votes, and I think he should absolutely get some votes this season.
Yeah, I agree. I think it would be very hard for him to get MVP especially because you have guys like Jokic who did he drop 56 the other night? Wasn't it 56? Yeah. 56 with how many rebounds was it too? Like didn't he have a triple double that night or
15.
something like that? Or
Yeah, it was like 56, 15, and 16.
see, like you're not beating that. I'm sorry, like I love Brown, but like when guys are putting up those kind of numbers, it's tough to beat that. But Jaylen Brown, like it's the fact that this team, we came in here, and I'm a big guy too who said, I don't think their ceiling is gonna be a 3 seed. I mean, maybe I said that at one point. Maybe I was like, all right, they could be somewhere in the hunt, but like I thought a 6 seed. I thought comfortably a 6 seed, and that might very well so be the case. But if they continue to play like this, I think Brown has a higher shot of getting some votes and being higher up in the voting because it's the fact that he's carrying this team there too to the promised land. I'm not saying the promised land because the promised land is a championship, but he's carrying this team and showing the haters that, he doesn't need Jason Tatum to win games. He could very much so do it himself. So, again, I agree with you guys. He should get some votes, but I don't see him winning MVP because you have just such heavy hitters in front of him. But this is a guy where it's like, all right, you minus Jokic out of the situation, you minus guys like Luka, and there could be a really good shot, but I agree again, Carl. I'm agreeing with your take. Best American player, and he's been on a complete tear, and he's going to continue to do so. I mean, like again, long road ahead, as David mentioned. But if he continues to keep this team up in the rankings like this, up in the standings, then he could have a better shot. But do you guys have any more takes on that?
No,
All right.
just
Well,
he's been great. Keep it going. That's all.
Absolutely.
yeah. So I next want to add this. So we're kind of going to move into the New Year's resolution Celtics segment. But first, I didn't really ask Amari Williams, what his New Year's resolution was. But I asked him like what his plans were, like what he thought about the development for the Celtics. So I mean, that's kind of a New Year's resolution to get better and develop. So we'll take that as it. No main report today, but I want to hear your guys' thoughts after we play this video. But here, let's roll it. Amari Williams answering my question. And my last question is, with your development in Maine and going up with the Celtics, what are you excited for this journey?
Just kind of learning the new role, just kind of, just learning how to be a big in the NBA. I feel like the plan they have for me has been great, and it's something I'm sticking to right now. So just kind of seeing how that translates from when I'm with Maine to when I'm with the bigger team is just, just kind of learning as the year goes on.
What do you guys think about that? And shout out to David for recording that. That was a great time in Maine. Well, I think we already talked about it, but fun time. Yeah, we talked about it last podcast. Make sure to go check it out. But Carl, do you have any thoughts on like what he thinks of his development? Because again, we talked about this on the Big Man Talk, so go watch that after. But that's very promising, and I really like their plan for Amari Williams, and he seems to like his plan as well. But what are your thoughts, Carl?
I kind of look at this and see this as something similar that Caires had to do, was doing with, we picked him up during the 2023 offseason, and he went from being, one of the main guys to now being our main guy. So I'm definitely trusting the process in whatever, Maine is doing with, Amari Williams. And of course, I'm trusting, Williams for trusting into that process and that system that's going to, further him into being, I would say in the future, what Caires was, that big who was supposed to come off of the bench and everything like that. And maybe even if they further develop him even more, be that starter that Caires is right now. So definitely the sky is the limit for Amari Williams. I definitely want to see more of him. I got to see, bits and pieces of him during the summer league, and I saw some of those main games too, and there is a lot of potential there. So it gets me excited to see, players of his caliber, centers, and young too, how we were talking about in that previous video, with the centers and who the Celtics could pick up. Definitely looking into how we can further develop him into, something very special for us at the center position.
Yeah, I mean, I'm extremely bullish as well on Amari Williams. Like, I just love his playmaking ability. I mean, he really does seem like if fully developed, he can be a triple double threat for the Celtics and for the NBA, just scoring, rebounding, and just with his, playmaking. He's a great passer for his size. Like, I mean, Celtics have been blessed, obviously, with Al Horford for all those years being an amazing passing big man. I mean, if we can pass the torch in a few years to Amari Williams to do that as well, um, that'd be incredible for the franchise moving forward in the future. And I just think that, the Celtics, as you just said, Carl, like they've always preached patience. And, I think us fans here in Massachusetts aren't necessarily the most patient people. And we want to see results right away for all our teams. We want to see our teams always in contention year after year. But sometimes you have to be patient. I mean, we saw that patience pay off with the development of our core for over 10 years, culminating in a championship NBA Finals appearance in 2022 and then a NBA championship in 2024. So, I'm more than willing to be waiting for guys like Hugo Gonzalez and potentially Amari Williams to develop. I mean, even just a smaller example, as I've talked about in this program before, is this year, Jordan Walsh finally taking a step forward after 2 years, developing with the team. Amias Queta developing, really taking a step forward after developing 2 years with the coaching staff here in Boston. So 100% take our time with Amari Williams, have him develop down there, and we'll see what he can do, and obviously just hope the best for him.
Yeah, I agree. I am very high on Amari Williams. I mean, I've seen him play in Maine, and his just play style is just incredible. He's a playmaker. He can also shoot the ball and rebound, and he is incredible. I see nothing but bright things from Amari Williams, and I don't know what his ceiling can be, but he gives off a Jokic playing style. So again, don't get your hopes up from me, but that's really kind of how he plays. He plays similar to a Jokic guy. And, I have to say this too, and I think someone mentioned it. I think he had an ad during his pick too. So we might have a baby Jokic on the Boston Celtics. Just throwing that out there. But my next question for you guys, and then we'll go into the David segment after this, because David has some hot takes for us. But my last New Year's related question is, what are 3 New Year's resolutions you want for the Boston Celtics in 2026 that they could really improve on? Or what are 3 New Year's resolutions? Carl, we'll start off with you.
Main 3 for me: get us a center, whether that center be a traditional center or somebody who can stretch the floor, being similar to what KP was. Continue being productive on the defensive end and mainly the rebounding, because what's really got us during last year's playoffs. And I would just say, continue what you're doing. Obviously, fix up on any issues that you have right now and make yourself polished enough to retain that 3rd seed that you currently have, or move up a little bit more in the Eastern Conference. So yeah, just fixing up on whatever minor issues that we have, keep up the rebounding, and get a center.
For me, I'd say similarly with the rebounding, that's definitely one of mine as well. Secondly, just I guess upgrading the team in general, whether that be getting more scoring to come off the bench, sans Anthony Simons, or getting a traditional center and being able to move someone like Keita back to the bench so we can upgrade that unit is important, I think, for the future of this team. And then just more on a general perspective, not even thinking about this season. Obviously, I hope this happens this season, but just talking about the calendar year 2026 as a whole, Jason Tatum coming back healthy and seeing him on the court again, just having fun playing basketball in 2026. We're guaranteed to probably, I don't want to say guarantee, I'll take back that word, but it's more likely than not that Jason Tatum will be returning to the basketball court at some point in 2026, whether that be in the early months or the later months. But either way, I just want him to have fun playing basketball again. I want him to stay healthy, and I just hope he can put this injury behind him, and just continue on with his Hall of Fame potential career. So those are my 3.
Yeah, I agree with what you guys said. And David, I'm stealing yours right here too with Jason Tatum. Like, he's gonna play in 2026. Fingers crossed. So, like, I'm sure he will. If it's not this season or it's next season, he's gonna play in 2026. So, having him be healthy out there, keeping him, like, bring him back slowly but surely, like what they're doing, make sure he's completely fine. My next New Year's resolution again is fine tuning this team, as you guys already mentioned, whether it be getting a center out there or adding pieces that either move the nail next year or help this team when needed. Because I know we talk about this, and for them to be a contender once again, they're going to need another piece. So that's my thing. Either do it at deadline or do it in the off season. That's my next New Year's resolution for the Celtics. But my final one is continue to be hot. Continue to do what you're doing. Like, you're the 3. Are we still the 3? Yeah, we're still the 3 seed right now. So we're the 3 seed. Continue this run for the Boston Celtics. I mean, I don't want them to slip up, because that's the thing. I really don't want them to slip up. I want them to be consistent. I don't want them to fall back and have the tanking talk. I want them to be a fun, consistent team like we are seeing. But do you guys have any other thoughts on New Year's resolutions?
And obviously, Banner 19 as well would be a great New Year's resolution.
That'd be a fun one. That one.
That would be great. It would be beautiful.
Yeah. That would be a wonderful one. But we are going into the David segment really quick, and then we are going final thoughts. But David, you have some little news about Missoula and Bob Cousy. So let's hear what you got for us.
Yes, so I mean, I could get used to this in every episode, the David segment.
Let's
That'd be
do it.
I
Hey, let's
like
do it.
that name. But just a couple accolades here in the Celtics community given out this week. First of all, congratulations to the current head coach of the Celtics, Joe Mazzulla, for getting his 200th win. He is the third fastest head coach behind Steve Kerr and Phil Jackson to do that. Obviously, Mazzulla was thrusted in this role right before training camp in 2022. He had a bit of a roller coaster ride of a debut season, again, to no fault of his own. But his second season, he proved all the haters wrong. And obviously, that's when we won the championship. And then obviously, he's been the head coach now. This is his fourth year being the Celtics head coach, and he will be the head coach, in my opinion, for as long as he wants to do it. He is an excellent basketball mind. By no means perfect. He'd be the first one to tell you that, but he's still not even 40. And like, we are watching a great basketball mind, develop and grow in front of our eyes. So, the great moments outweigh the bad moments for Missoula. And I love every single second. I've been a supporter of him every single second since he got elevated to that front row. So I'm just really happy for Joe Missoula, and congratulations to him with that. Secondly, Celtics legend Bob Cousy is getting a basketball court at his alma mater, Holy Cross, named after him. Bob Cousy is 97 years old, and obviously he was a big part of the early days of the Celtics dynasty. He played for the Celtics for 13 years, from 1950 to 1963. Fan favorite with the Celtics. Both him and Bill Russell were a tandem duo in the back half of Cousy's career. And I just remember a couple years ago now, Bob Cousy saying that he just wanted to see the Celtics win one more championship before he passes on, and he got that wish. And I believe he got a championship ring for 2024 as well. So love to see all that, and just some positive, wholesome news in the Celtics community during this David segment.
Well, I think we're gonna continue to add the David segment because that was great. But I tell you guys, we're looking at the road ahead, and we are in for some late night recaps. I tell you what, coming up, because we got some late night games, I believe, because I'm seeing all Western Conference games, and it looks like it's that time of year. So, what is your guys' predictions? And Carl, I don't know if we've done this with you before. So if so, this is the first time, but we give our predictions of what the Celtics are going to be after these games, and if they'll go 4-0, you guys get it. And if you guys are regulars, you guys know it. But the Boston Celtics face the Trailblazers tomorrow night, but we're going to be posting this. So you guys actually, these predictions are before these games, but won't be released till after. So we have Trailblazers, Jazz, and Kings and Clippers. Carl, what do you think the Celtics are going to be in this trip? 4 games. What's your thoughts?
Personally, I would say that it's easy for me to say 4-0, just considering that, yeah, the Celtics, I'd say, are the better team compared to these teams. But I do feel like they're going to drop at least one of these games, and that game will probably be to the Clippers, even though, they have their, issues kind of, being the older team and everything. The drama happening with CP3 is going on. They still have Kawhi Leonard. Brook Lopez recently just dropped 31 with a career high 9 threes. So definitely something to look out for, and definitely a team I think they'll drop a game to. But other than that, I think they can handle business against Portland, Utah, and whomever was between the Jazz and the Clippers.
Sacramento.
Sacramento, right. Yeah, Sacramento could be a challenge for them as well. But I think they can get that one as well.
What about you, David?
Yeah, I had the same exact prediction as Carl, going 3-1 with the loss being to the Clippers. The Trailblazers game is a little bit, I don't want to say trappy, but I feel like that could be tough. I mean, the Trailblazers are in 10th right now. They're the only team in this next stretch that we're playing in the West that's actually in a playoff spot, a play-in spot at least. The Jazz obviously beat us last time. Talked about this a little bit last night. That was a little bit controversial. I mean, we never should have been in a crunch time game with the Jazz, but we lost that game. I think hopefully we can rebound on Tuesday night against them. The Kings, we should beat as well. They're one of the worst teams in the NBA right now. And the Clippers, I mean, are only two. Or the Kings are the worst team in the West right now. It's 7-23. I'm looking at the Clippers are only 2 spots better than the Kings. And Carl, you mentioned this earlier, how they're an aging team with a lot of drama, but they have actually won 3 in a row, and it wouldn't surprise me if they win this game as well. I don't know if they'll go on a winning streak all the way through to this game next Saturday night, but this just feels like a game that they could win. Especially with how well they played us last time. That game came down to the end and James Harden nearly hitting that shot, either tie it or win it for them earlier this month, I believe. But yeah, I'd love to go full homer here and go 4-0, but I want to hedge my bets a little bit and say that the Celtics will win 3 in a row, bringing the winning streak to 7. But I think we'll drop that final game of the West Coast road trip next Saturday to the Clippers.
Oh, you guys make it so hard. I really want to go 4-0 now because I don't want to be the same guy that you guys pretty much just were with that loss to the Clippers. But I'm going 3-1. I wanted to do it, but I'm pressing it. We're going 4-0. I'm pressing it. Someone got to do it. Someone got to do it. I bet we'll go 4-0. You know, it really scares me with Kawhi and James Harden and obviously Brook Lopez playing well, but I'm going it. It's been a while since I went 4-0. Let's go 4-0. Let's do it. But do you guys have any final thoughts before we close out this podcast?
Nothing else from me.
Just keep playing good basketball heading into the new year and then after the new year. It's been fun. We went from a roller coaster ride with the Celtics to now just the vibes being high. This reminds me of the overachieving teams of the 2010s for the Celtics with Isaiah Thomas and Smart and all those guys with Brad Stevens at the helm. And, still got a long season to go. We don't know what January, February, March, April, maybe May, maybe June will bring us. But, I'm just having fun watching the team again.
Yeah, well said. I mean, 2024 was a good year for us, an even number. Let's make 2026 a good year for us as well. But with that being said, you guys, Happy New Year. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe and turn on post notifications. And make sure to tune in to the lives as we will bring you recaps as well. But we will see you guys with the next one. Peace, guys. Happy New Year.
See you.
Later.